Recap in minutes. Today we will be going through an action, war, and adventure movie from 1961, entitled, The Guns of Naverone. There will be spoilers ahead in this video, so chill out and enjoy. This classic movie begins with a short narration at the start. It says that in 1943, 2,000 British soldiers lay marooned on the islands of Caros. They all have only 1 week to live, because the Axis had been determined to show their strength in the Aegean Sea, and to bully Turkey to join the war on their side. This operation was coded as Blitz. Time is short, because the Germans are expected to launch an assault on the British forces, so the men on the Caros were doomed unless they could be evacuated. Rescue by the Royal Navy is impossible because of massive, newly designed and radar-controlled guns on the nearby island of Naverone. That is the only passage to and from Caros. The guns were so powerful and accurate that they did not miss any target. The next moment, a man from the military arrives at the base in Crete and enters a room. He asks for Commodore Jensen, who greets him. He introduces himself as Captain Keith Mallory and explains that he is there for an urgent mission. The Commodore reminds him that the Germans have placed a bounty of £10,000 on him, and another man named Andrea Stavros. The Commodore takes Mallory and Franklin Roy to a meeting room, where Squadron Leader Barnsby briefs them about their upcoming mission in Naverone. He informs them that the Naverone guns cannot be destroyed from the air. Previous attempts to bomb the guns from the air have failed, resulting in the loss of 18 men last night. He explains that there is an old fortress on the cliff, followed by an overhang that obscures the cave and guns. Additionally, they don't have a large enough bomb to destroy the overhang. After thanking the squadron leader, the Commodore escorts them away. The Commodore attaches a case to Mallory's arm using handcuffs and takes them along. Mallory asks the Commodore why they chose him for the team. Roy explained that they know he speaks German fluently, and was a renowned mountain climber before the war. He adds that they need him to scale a 400-foot vertical cliff on the southern side of Naverone, the only spot along the coast that the Germans don't monitor. When they reach the Commodore's office, Mallory examines the photographs of the cliff. He mentions that he hasn't climbed in the past 5 years, so it will be challenging to resume immediately. Franklin interjects, emphasizing that the lives of their team depend on the success of this mission, as they have been waiting for Mallory to join and guide them. The Commodore explains that this is their last hope, because the Germans won't anticipate a team of saboteurs at this late stage. He continued saying that the lives of 2,000 men on Caros are at stake unless someone climbs that cliff. There's simply no one else they can enlist in time. Eventually, Mallory agrees to take on the challenge of climbing the cliff. The Commodore expresses his gratitude and shares files containing information about the hastily assembled team. First is Corporal Miller, a chemistry professor in civilian life but an absolute genius with high explosives. Then there's Butcher Brown, an engineer and expert knife fighter. He excels with engines, machinery, radios, and more. He received his training in Spain during the Civil War, earning him the nickname the Butcher of Barcelona. Private Spyro Pappadimos, a natural-born killer and an invaluable asset for a mission like this. Captain Mallory expressed confidence stating that with these expert men, failure was not an option. The Commodore emphasized the importance of their success, as they are set to send 6 destroyers through the Naverone Channel to evacuate the men from Caros. Mallory warned that if the guns were not neutralized by then, 6 more ships would meet their demise at the bottom of the Aegean Sea. After that, Mallory, Andrea Stavros, Major Franklin and their team reach the island of Naverone. Major Baker from the English Army comes there and takes them to their post. Their team gathered in their quarters to discuss the strategy for the next day. However, Colonel Andrea noticed a suspicious figure outside the door. He cunningly apprehended the eavesdropper, and they summoned Major Baker, who identified the intruder as a laundry boy. Major Franklin questioned why he carried a knife and attempted to stab the man they caught. Baker replies saying he presumes that he was trying to defend himself. But Franklin remained suspicious and ordered his detention for a week. Baker refused to comply with the order. Then Franklin instructs his man to shoot the boy, and even threatened to shoot Baker if he got in the way. Captain Mallory diffused the tension by persuading Baker to follow Franklin's orders, and Baker eventually acquiesced and leaves. The following day, disguised as Greek fishermen aboard a dilapidated boat, they set sail across the Aegean Sea. However, they received a warning from the control room that they might encounter German forces, and face severe storms in their area. Moments later, a German boat intercepted them and boarded their vessel. The Germans began searching the boat, but upon Mallory's signal, the team attacked, eliminating all the Germans and detonating their patrol boat. As night fell, they battled a fierce storm while nearing the island, narrowly escaping its wrath. While struggling to weather the storm, Andrea pumped water out of the boat's bottom. During this time, Mallory tells Franklin that Andrea vowed to kill him, because he was inadvertently responsible for the deaths of Andrea's wife and children. The Major asks him why is that so. He tells him that about a year ago, he gave a German patrol a safe conduct to get some of their wounded into hospital. They wanted Andrea pretty badly. Even then, they shot their casualties and went over to his house and blew it up. He was out on a job at the time, but his wife and 3 children were in the house who were all killed. After some time, their landing on the coast that night was hindered by a violent storm, resulting in the shipwreck and loss of some equipment. After the storm subsided, Captain Mallory attempted to scale the cliff. Observing his ascent, the rest of the team followed suit, with Andrea saving Mallory when he slipped, catching him just in time. Once atop the cliff, they discovered a German troop guarding the area. Mallory threw a pair of scissors to divert the guard's attention, allowing Andrea to kill him upon his return. One by one, they all climbed the cliff, but Major Franklin slipped in the rain and sustained severe injuries, with his leg broken in 2 places. Miller, a comrade of Major Franklin, believed he needed urgent medical attention. Miller suggested leaving Franklin behind, reasoning that the Germans would find him and take him to a hospital. However, another member of the team pointed out that without proper medical supplies, Franklin's chances of survival are slim. Mallory acknowledged his concern for Franklin but assumed command of the mission. He feared that Franklin, if captured, would be forced to divulge their plans. Consequently, Mallory ordered 2 men to carry the injured major on a stretcher as they pressed forward. After taking shelter in a cave, Mallory reassured Franklin and convinced him to stay with the group. Mallory and his team went outside to use the radio and assess the situation on the cliff. However, some German troops arrive and Mallory sees them. He orders them to move quickly from there. Upon returning to pick up Franklin, they discovered he was missing. Franklin, attempting to commit suicide, crawled away, but Mallory intervened and asks them to leave them alone, as he wants to talk to him. Mallory lied to him, informing that the mission had been cancelled, and that a major naval attack would take place on the east side of the cliff in Naverone. He loves this news and gets ready to go with them. As the German soldiers climbed the rocks, the group split up, leaving Andrea behind with his sniper rifle, while the rest moved to their next rendezvous point at the Say Alexis ruins. To their surprise, they found Andrea waiting for them. Andrea informed them that he had searched the area and found no food. While at night, they heard a noise outside and Mallory sends Spyro Pappadimos and Andrea to investigate. They discovered an intruder and subdued him, only to realize that it was a woman. Another woman entered the space and held them at gunpoint. After confirming that they were not Germans, the woman introduced herself as Maria Pappadimos, Spyros' sister. The group was shocked to learn of the familial connection between Maria and one of their team members. Mallory informed Maria that her brother is also with them, which surprised and upset her. She slapped Spyros for not writing letters to them. Spyros explained that the war had prevented him from doing so. Maria sat back down with her friend Anna and proceeded to share her story with the group. She revealed that she had been a school teacher in Mandrakos before the Germans arrived, and they had tortured her in an attempt to make her betray the resistance. Subsequently, they held her captive in the fortress for 6 months, and the trauma rendered her mute. After meeting up with Maria and Anna, the Germans continuously follow them and search every town in their way. Later on, when they were hiding in the bushes, a German fighter plane spots them and signals the ground forces to attack their positions. Mallory orders them to hurry to evacuate this place, as they have found them. They pick up Franklin and run from there. On their way to reach the tunnel, the German planes drop bombs and fire bullets on them, but they succeed in escaping. On the 4th day of their mission, they ventured into a town in search of a doctor for Franklin, but were ultimately captured by Lieutenant Musil. Mallory and his team get into a wedding and try to evade capture but fail. Musil and later, Captain Sessler of the SS fail to persuade them to tell them where their explosives are. Stavros pretends to betray the others, saying that he is a poor fisherman from Cyprus and they stole his boat and forced him to join them. He dramatically begs to release him as he cannot face the violence. Instead, he attacks the Germans, allowing the group to overpower their captors. They tie the Germans and take their uniforms and escape, but leave Franklin behind so he can get medical attention. Franklin is injected with the truth drug scopolamine by Sessler, and gives up the false information as Mallory had hoped. After that, the German units are deployed away from the guns, and in the direction of the supposed invasion point. During the final preparations, Miller tells everyone that someone has stepped on the cake. He discovered that most of his explosives had been sabotaged, and the remaining portion had spoiled. He remembers all the past events and deduces that Anna was the saboteur. Not only was she the saboteur, but she could speak and had never been tortured by the Nazis. Anna finally discloses that she had agreed to become an informant in exchange for her release. Everyone is shocked at this revelation. Now they decide what should be done with Anna. Mallory and Miller argue over Anna's fate, Complicated by Mallory's feelings for her, Maria shoots Anna dead. Now the team split up, with Mallory and Miller heading for the guns, Stavros and Pappadimos creating a distraction in the city, and Maria and Brown tasked with stealing a boat for their escape. Mallory and Miller infiltrated the heavily fortified gun emplacements, eliminating the watchmen. As they locked the main entrance behind them, it triggered an alarm, alerting the Germans to their presence. Mallory and Miller go down and set explosives on the guns, and plant more below an elevator leading to the guns. While on the other hand, Brown and Maria snatch a fast ferry from the German soldier and accelerate to reach the cliff. Spyro gets killed in the action to stop the Nazi troops. Miller plants the detonators under the elevator too, to get enough time to stop the Germans from reaching the guns. Now the Germans finally cut through the thick emplacement doors, but Mallory and Miller make their escape by diving into the sea. Despite Miller's inability to swim, they make it to the stolen boat, but learn that Pappadimos and Brown have been killed. Stavros is wounded and has difficulty swimming, but Mallory manages to pull him in. The destroyers arrived on schedule, and the Germans removed the explosives planted on the guns. As they prepared to fire at the destroyers, their first attack fell short. They narrowly escaped a second attack that fell near one of their ships. However, just as the guns were being prepared for another round of fire, the elevator descended low enough to trigger the hidden explosives. The guns and fortifications were obliterated in a spectacular explosion. Franklin hears it from his hospital bed and smiles. The movie ends with Stavros, who had fallen in love with Maria, deciding to return to Naverone with her. He shook hands with Mallory, having relinquished his planned vengeance. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Recap in minutes for more videos like this, and help the channel grow.